The sun beat down on the endless sand dunes of Rakdos Prime like an angry god. Taman stood on top of the highest dune, his sharp eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of movement. His fur, once thick and healthy, now hung loose on his thin frame. 4 days without food, 4 days watching his pack grow weaker. Behind him, 11 other Vrakan hunters rested in the shade of a large rock formation. They were all tired. They were all hungry. And worst of all, they were losing hope. Taman was their pack leader, and the weight of that responsibility pressed down on him harder than the desert heat. He was supposed to keep them safe. He was supposed to find food. But the great sand beasts that his pack had hunted for generations were gone. They had migrated far away, searching for water that no longer existed in this cursed drought. "Brother," a voice called from below. Taman looked down to see his sister Nari climbing up the dune toward him. She moved with the grace of a natural hunter, even weakened by hunger. "We need to make a decision. The pack cannot wait much longer." Taman nodded slowly. He knew she was right. In the last 2 days, 3 hunters had collapsed during their scouting missions. One of them was Junho, barely past his coming-of-age ceremony. The young hunter had pride and courage, but pride and courage could not fill an empty stomach. "The Southern Territory has water," Nari continued, sitting down beside her brother. "But pack leader Hyunwoo claims that land now. If we enter without permission, war," Taman finished. War meant death. His pack was too weak to fight. But staying here meant slow starvation. Some choice. Down below, the pack was arguing again. Voices rose in anger and frustration. Taman could hear old Hana trying to calm everyone down, but even her wisdom was wearing thin. The pack was falling apart. "There is another option," Nari said quietly. "We could abandon our territory, move to the western cliffs where the rock crawlers live." "And shame our ancestors?" Taman's voice was sharp. "This land has been ours for 10 generations. Our fathers and grandfathers are buried in these sands. Dead honor fills no bellies, brother." Taman had no answer for that. He stood up and started walking down the dune. "Gather the pack. We scout the eastern edge one more time. If we find nothing, then we will decide." The pack moved slowly across the desert. Every step was an effort. Junho stumbled twice, and each time he refused help, too proud to show weakness. That pride would get him killed, Taman thought. But he said nothing. He had been the same at that age. As they crossed over a large dune, something caught Nari's eye. She stopped suddenly, her ears standing straight up. "What is it?" Taman asked. "Metal," she said, pointing ahead. "I smell burning metal and something else. Something strange." The pack moved forward carefully. Hunters pulled out their weapons, crude spears and knives made from desert stone and bone. As they crested the next dune, they saw it. A ship. Not like the trading vessels that occasionally passed through their skies, but something different. It was half buried in the sand. One side crushed and torn open. Smoke rose from the damaged hull in thin black streams. "Outsiders," one of the hunters whispered. Fear rippled through the pack. "We should leave," another said. "This is not our concern." But Junho was already moving forward. "Wait, I see movement." Taman cursed and ran after the young hunter. The rest of the pack followed, weapons ready. They surrounded the crashed ship, forming a hunting circle like they would around dangerous prey. Inside the torn opening of the ship, something moved. Then a figure emerged into the sunlight. It was like nothing Taman had ever seen. The creature walked on 2 legs like the Vrakan. But there the similarity ended. Its skin was smooth and pale, covered in strange blue fabric. It had no fur, no claws, no fangs, just soft skin and small, weak-looking hands. The creature saw them and froze. Its eyes went wide. Taman raised his spear, ready to strike if it attacked, but the creature did not attack. Instead, it did something completely unexpected. It reached into a bag at its side, pulled out a small wrapped package, and held it out toward them. The pack stared in confusion. What was this? Some kind of trick? The creature made sounds that meant nothing to Taman's ears. Then it did something even stranger. It opened the package, broke off a piece of whatever was inside, and ate it. Then it held out the rest toward them again. "It's offering us food," Nari said, her voice full of disbelief. "An insult," one of the older hunters growled. "It mocks our weakness." "Or it's poison," another suggested. But Taman was watching the creature's eyes. There was no mockery there. No cruelty, just concern. Could that be right? This strange, weak thing was concerned for them. The creature took a step forward, still holding out the food. Several hunters raised their weapons higher. The creature saw this and stopped, but it did not lower its offering. "What do we do, Taman?" Nari asked. Taman did not know. Every instinct told him to refuse. Accepting help from an outsider was shameful. It meant admitting weakness. It meant his pack could not survive on their own. What would the ancestors think? What would the other pack say? But then he looked back at his hunters. At Junho swaying on his feet from hunger. At Hana so old and tired. At Nari trying to be strong but clearly suffering. The creature made more sounds. It pointed at the food, then at them, then at its mouth. The meaning was clear. "Eat this, please." Taman took a step forward. Behind him he heard gasps from his pack. One hunter called his name in warning, but Taman kept walking until he stood directly in front of the strange creature. Up close he could see that it was injured. One of its legs was bent wrong and there was pain in its eyes. This creature was suffering too, maybe even dying, yet it offered them its food. Slowly, carefully, Taman reached out and took the package from the creature's hand. The creature's face changed. Its mouth stretched wide, showing small, flat teeth. Was that a threat? No, Taman realized. It was pleasure. The creature was happy. Taman looked down at the package in his hand. It smelled strange, but not bad. He broke off a piece and put it in his mouth. Sweet. Rich. Unlike anything he had ever tasted. And most importantly, it was food. Real food. The creature reached into its bag and pulled out more packages. Many more. It held them out to the pack. "Taman, you cannot be serious," one of the hunters said. "This is against everything we are." "We are starving," Taman said simply. "This creature offers help. We can accept and live or refuse and die proud. I choose life." He turned to the creature and nodded. The creature understood and started handing out packages to the hunters. Some took them immediately. Others hesitated, their pride warring with their hunger. Eventually hunger won. As the pack ate, Taman studied the creature. It moved around to each hunter, checking on them. When Junho stumbled, the creature caught him and helped him sit down. When Hana coughed, the creature gave her water from a container at its belt. This creature acted like pack, like family, but they were strangers. They were not even the same species. How could this be? The creature came back to Taman and made more sounds. It pointed at its chest and said something that sounded like Doyun. Then it pointed at Taman and waited. "Taman," the pack leader said, pointing at himself. The creature, Doyun, made its strange, happy face again. It reached up and touched something on its ear. Suddenly words came out of the small device, words that Taman could understand, though they were broken and strange. "Hello. Help. Ship broken. Stay here. 2 days. No help coming." Taman looked at the crashed ship, then back at Doyun. This creature was stranded. Alone. Injured. And it had given them its food anyway. Nari came to stand beside her brother. "What now?" she asked quietly. Taman watched as Doyun shared more food with the youngest hunters, keeping almost nothing for itself. He watched as it gave its water away freely. He watched as it showed kindness to complete strangers who had surrounded it with weapons. "Now," Taman said, "we make a choice. We can leave this creature to die and walk away with full bellies, or we can stay, and if we stay..." Taman looked at his sister. Then everything changes. Half the pack wanted to leave immediately. They had eaten the humans' food, and that was shameful enough. To stay and help this outsider would be even worse. But Taman had made his decision, and as pack leader his word was final. "We stay," he announced. "This creature, Doyun, gave us food when it had little to spare. Honor demands we help it in return. Honor demands we provide for ourselves," one of the older hunters argued. "Not accept charity from weak outsiders. Is it weak?" Nari asked, pointing at Doyun. The human was sitting on a rock, pulling things out of its damaged ship. Despite its injured leg, it worked steadily, organizing supplies and checking equipment. It survived a crash that would have killed any of us. It offers help to strangers who could easily kill it. That takes a different kind of strength. The argument continued, but eventually the pack settled down. They were too tired and too full of food to argue much. Some hunters wandered away to rest in the shade. Others watched Doyun with curious eyes. Junho approached the human slowly. He was young and brave in the way young hunters often were. "Can I help?" he asked, making gestures with his hands. Doyun looked up and made its happy face. It pointed at a broken panel on the ship and then at a tool. Yunyo understood immediately. He was good with his hands, always making things for the pack. Together, they started working on the ship. Taemin watched this with interest. The language barrier was large, but somehow they were communicating. Yunyo would try to do something, and Doyun would either nod or gently show him a different way. There was patience in the humans' movements. Teaching, not commanding. Over the next few hours, more hunters joined the work. The human had a device on its ear that sometimes spoke words they could understand. The device was damaged, so the words came out wrong and broken, but it was better than nothing. Home, far away, the device said as Doyen pointed at the sky. Ship, needs help, signal sent, but no answer. Yet. How long can you survive here? Taemin asked slowly, hoping the device would translate. Doyen looked at its supplies and held up fingers. 3. Maybe 4 if it was careful. 3 days. The human had given them food that should have lasted it 3 days. Taemin felt something strange in his chest. Respect, maybe, or shame that his first instinct had been to take and leave. Nari approached with a question. Why did you give us your food? You needed to survive. The device on Doyen's ear made broken sounds trying to translate. Doyen thought for a moment, then started drawing in the sand. It drew a circle and put many small figures inside. Then it drew one figure outside the circle alone. It pointed at the circle and said something. The device translated, pack, family, together, strong. Then it pointed at the lone figure. Alone. Weak. Die. It drew a line connecting the outside figure to the circle. Help, join, everyone, are strong. The drawing was simple, but the message was clear. Doyen believed that helping others made everyone stronger, that strangers could become pack. Strange ideas, Nari muttered, but Taemin could see she was thinking about them. As the sun began to set, the temperature dropped quickly. Desert nights were cold and Doyen started shivering. Its thin fabric covering was not enough. Without being asked, Hana brought one of the pack's warming furs and draped it over the human's shoulders. Doyen looked surprised. It touched the fur gently, then looked at Hana. Thank you, the device said clearly. Hana smiled, showing her old teeth. You fed my pack. This is small payment. That night they made camp near the crashed ship. The hunters built a fire using fuel from the ship's emergency supplies. Doyen sat with them, sharing more of its ration bars and drinking water carefully from its dwindling supply. Tell us about your home, Taemin said. This Earth place, Doyen's eyes lit up. Through the broken translator and many hand gestures, it started telling them stories. Earth was a world of water and green growing things. Humans lived in giant nests made of stone and metal, bigger than anything the Vraken could imagine. But it had not always been that way. Long ago, humans were like the Vraken, living in small packs, hunting to survive. Cold time came, Doyen said, hugging itself to show freezing. Big ice everywhere. Animals gone, humans should die. But you survived, Junho said, leaning forward eagerly. Yes, but not alone. Humans worked together. Many packs became one big pack. Shared food, shared fire, shared knowledge. You abandoned your individual packs? One hunter asked with shock. No. Doyun shook its head firmly. Made bigger pack. Family grew. This idea seemed impossible to most of the Vraken. Packs were sacred. Blood ties were everything. You did not just join with strangers and call them pack. But Doyen continued its stories. It told them how humans learned to grow their own food instead of just hunting. How they built settlements that lasted for generations. How they created tools and machines that let them do incredible things. And you did all this by working together? Nari asked, skepticism clear in her voice. Yes, humans, not strong like you. Doyen pointed at the Vraken's claws and muscles. Not fast. No good teeth. But humans work together. Plan, think, build. It pulled out a small device from its pocket and showed them. Images appeared in the air above the device, floating like magic. They saw huge human cities, flying machines, giant ships that traveled between stars, all built by creatures with no claws, no fangs, no natural weapons. The Vraken were silent, stunned by what they were seeing. How? Taemin finally asked. Doyen pointed at its head. Think different. See stranger not as enemy, but as possible friend, possible pack. Over the next 2 days, this became their routine. During the day, they worked on repairing Doyen's communication equipment. The human taught them things about technology and engineering. Simple things, but useful. How to use the sun's heat to purify water. How to signal across long distances using reflected light. How to preserve food for longer. But more important than the technical knowledge were the ideas Doyen shared about cooperation. The human told them about ancient Earth tribes who fought over limited resources, just like the Vrakenpaks did. Many died, Doyen said sadly, fighting over small things. Then smart human said, what if we share? What if we trade? You have fish, I have fruit. We trade, both have more food. But what if the other tribe takes everything? Gunyo asked. Then others not trade with them. Reputation important. Trust builds over time. One evening as they sat around the fire, Doyen asked Taemin about the other packs in the region. There are many, Taemin said. Pack leader Hyunwoo to the south, pack leader Minho to the north, and pack leader Jiwon to the east. All control better territories than ours now. Why not? Work together? Doyen asked carefully. The entire pack laughed at this. Even Taemin smiled. That is not our way. Packs compete. Packs fight. Packs do not cooperate. But why? Doyen pressed. All face same problem, yes? All hungry because animals gone. All need water. All need food. Together. Could solve problems better. You do not understand, Nari explained. Asking rival packs for help is like admitting defeat. It shames your ancestors. It makes you weak. Doyen was quiet for a moment. Then it said something that would stick with Taemin for the rest of his life. On Earth, we learned hard lesson. Pride fills no bellies. Honor does not stop death. Sometimes, strongest thing is to ask for help. Before anyone could respond, a sound echoed across the dunes. Howls. Many of them. Coming closer. The pack jumped to their feet, weapons ready. Taemin recognized those howls. Minho's pack, he said grimly. They must have seen the smoke from the ship. Will they attack? Doyen asked, struggling to stand on its injured leg. Taemin did not answer. He did not need to. The look on his face said everything. The northern pack was coming, and they would see the crashed ship as valuable salvage. They would see Doyen as interesting prey, and they would see Taemin's pack as weak for harboring an outsider. Get behind us, Taemin ordered Doyen. Do not fight. You will only die. But as Minho's hunters appeared on the dunes around them, Doyen did not hide. Instead, the human stepped forward, placing itself between the two packs. Wait, it said, holding up its hands. I have idea. Taemin wanted to pull the foolish human back to safety, but something in Doyen's eyes stopped him. The human had a plan. This would either save them all or get them all killed. Minho's pack surrounded them completely. 14 hunters, all bigger and better fed than Taemin's group. Pack leader Minho himself was a massive Vraken with scars across his face and arms. He had survived many battles and won territory through strength and ruthlessness. Taemin, Minho called out, his voice mocking. I heard your pack was dying. I did not believe you had fallen so far as to befriend prey animals. Several of Minho's hunters laughed. They pointed at Doyen, making gestures that suggested the human would be good eating. Taemin felt his pack tense around him, ready to fight. But they were weak and outnumbered. This would be a massacre. Doyen stepped forward, hands raised peacefully. The human's translator device started working, speaking in both human language and broken Vraken. Wait. Please. Fighting helps no one. I have proposal. Minho stared at the strange creature with surprise. It speaks? How interesting. He took a step closer, studying Doyen like a curious predator. And what could you possibly offer me, little meat thing? Doyen did not flinch. Information. Your pack is hungry too, yes? I can smell it. You hide it better than Taemin's pack, but you are suffering same drought. Minho's eyes narrowed. Watch your words, outsider. No disrespect meant, Doyen said quickly. Only truth. All packs here are starving. All have lost hunting grounds. All struggle to survive. What is your point? Minho growled. Doyen pulled out its small device and activated it. The image of the planet appeared, rotating in the air. Then Doyen zoomed in to show a region far to the east. My ship has sensors. Before crash, I did scan of area. Look. The image showed heat signatures. Hundreds of them. Thousands. A massive herd of sand beasts gathered around a hidden water source 3 days' journey away. Every Vraken present stared at the image with hunger in their eyes. That much meat could feed a pack for months. Maybe longer. Why show us this? Minho asked suspiciously. Because I believe cooperation is better than fighting, Doyen said simply. That herd is far away, in dangerous territory. Taemin's pack is too weak to reach it. Your pack might reach it, but... Doyen paused carefully. That land belongs to pack leader Jiwon, yes? Minho's expression darkened. Yes, Jiwon's pack is very strong. You cannot fight them alone. And I suppose you have a solution, Minho said. But there was interest in his voice now. Two packs travel together. Share resources. Share water. Share watches at night. Reach the herd safely. Hunt together. After the hunt, both packs eat and go home. No debt, no obligation. Just survival. The silence that followed was heavy. Every Vrakan was thinking the same thing. This was madness. Packs did not cooperate. It was against nature, against tradition, against everything they knew. But the image of that herd still floated in the air, tempting them. You would have us trust each other? Miho laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Taemin and I have fought over territory for years. We have both lost hunters to those conflicts, and you think we will just walk side by side like old friends? No, Doyen said. Not friends, not yet, but not enemies either. Just two groups with same problem and same solution. Taemin watched Minho carefully. The northern pack leader was thinking, weighing options. Taemin could see the calculation in his eyes. Minho's pack was hungry. They needed food desperately. But pride was powerful, brother. Nari whispered to Taemin. What do you think? I think the human is either very wise or completely insane. Taemin muttered back. Doyen continued speaking. On my world, humans once fought like this. Tribe against tribe. Everyone suffered. Then someone tried different way. That someone became great leader. Founded civilization that lasted 1,000 years? Pretty words, Minho said. But words do not fill bellies. No, Doyen agreed. Food fills bellies, and that herd is food. But only if you can reach it. Only if you can hunt it. Only if you survive Jiwon's pack. Minho turned to his second-in-command, a fierce female hunter named Somin. They spoke quietly for a moment. Taemin could see disagreement on Somin's face, but eventually she nodded. I will agree to a trial, Minho finally said. We travel together for 1 day. If it works, we continue. If not, we part ways and forget this foolishness. And human, he pointed at Doyen, if this is a trick, I will eat you myself. Doyen made its strange, happy face. No trick. Just survival. And so, against all tradition and common sense, two rival packs prepared to travel together. The first hours were tense. Minho's hunters and Taemin's hunters stayed in separate groups, watching each other with suspicion. Arguments broke out over who would carry what supplies, over who would take point, over who would guard the flanks. Doyen, riding on a makeshift stretcher that Junho and another young hunter from Minho's pack named Jaemin had built, mediated every dispute. The human had endless patience, listening to both sides and finding compromises that neither pack would have considered on their own. In human military, Doyen told them as they walked, different units work together all the time. They have system. Take turns. Share duties. Everyone contributes. Your human military sounds weak, Somin said with contempt. True warriors do not need systems. They need strength. Strength is important, Doyen agreed. But organization makes strength more effective. 10 warriors working together can defeat 20 warriors fighting as individuals. Impossible, Somin said. Is it? Doyen pointed at a large rock formation ahead. See those stones? Too heavy for one person to move. But together. The human convinced several hunters from both packs to work together, pushing and lifting the rocks. What would have been impossible alone became easy with cooperation. The hunters who participated looked surprised by the result. Small moments like this began to change the atmosphere. When they made camp that first night, the two packs still stayed separate, but the divide was not as rigid. Junyo and Jaemin, the young hunters carrying Doyen's stretcher, had become friends through the day's journey. They talked and laughed together, sharing stories about their training. Hana approached Somin and offered to share water purification techniques that Doyen had taught them. Somin was suspicious at first, but eventually accepted. The two older hunters sat together, talking quietly about the drought and the old days when food was plentiful. Taemin found himself sitting next to Minho by the fire. It was awkward. They had been enemies for so long. But the silence was somehow worse than talking. Your pack is stronger than it looks, Minho finally said. My scouts told me you were finished, ready to collapse. But you still have spirit. We had help, Taemin admitted. nodding toward Doyun. The human was teaching a group of young hunters a game from Earth that involved quick hand movements and laughter. That creature is strange, Minho said. Weak body but strong mind. Where did you find it? Taemin told him about the crash, about Doyun's offer of food, about the decision to help. Minho listened carefully. You made a brave choice, Minho said. Or a foolish one. Time will tell which. On the second day of travel, the landscape became more difficult. Rocky terrain and steep cliffs slowed their progress. When one of Taemin's hunters fell and twisted her leg, it was Soman who helped her up. When Minho's pack ran low on water, Nari shared the supply that Doyun had shown them how to purify. Small acts of cooperation, but they added up. Doyun told them more stories about Earth as they traveled. About how human nations that had fought terrible wars eventually became allies. About how cooperation led to advances in medicine, technology, exploration. Sounds like fantasy, one hunter said. All progress starts as fantasy, Doyun replied. Then someone tries it. Then it becomes real. On the third day, they reached the edge of Jiwan's territory. They could see the herd in the distance, a dark mass on the horizon. So much food, so much hope. But standing between them and the herd was Jiwan's pack. And Jiwan herself, a massive female Vrakan who was said to be the strongest pack leader in the entire region. She waited for them with 20 hunters at her back. Her arms were crossed and her expression was not friendly. Well, she called out, what strange sight is this? Taemin and Minho traveling together? Has the world gone mad? Taemin and Minho approached together, Doyun limping between them on its crutch. We come to request hunting rights, Taemin said formally. The drought affects us all. That herd can feed many packs. That herd is mine, Jiwan said flatly. This is my territory. You are trespassing. We do not wish to fight, Minho added. But our packs are starving. Surely you can understand. Jiwan looked at them with disdain. Then her eyes fell on Doyun. And what is that? I am Doyun, the human said through its translator. I am from planet called Earth. I wish to propose alternative to fighting. Jiwan laughed. It was not a kind sound. An outsider thinks to tell me what to do in my own territory? Incredible. Not tell, Doyun said quickly. Suggest. Fighting costs lives. Cooperation saves lives. Both achieve same goal. There is no cooperation in survival, Jiwan said coldly. Only the strong eat. The weak die. This is the way. There are other ways, Doyun insisted. Jiwan stepped forward. Then let us test these ways. I challenge you, Taemin, to ritual combat. If you win, all 3 packs may hunt here. If I win, your packs leave and never return. Taemin felt his heart sink. He could not defeat Jiwan. She was twice his size and far more experienced. This was death. But before he could accept, Doyun spoke up. I propose different challenge. Let me explain new way. Jiwan stared at Doyun like the human had just spoken nonsense. Around them, all 3 packs watched tensely. Ritual combat was sacred tradition. No one challenged the rules. You want to change ritual combat? Jiwan's voice was dangerous. Who? Are you to suggest such things, outsider? Not change, Doyun said carefully. Offer alternative. Your tradition values strength, yes? I respect that, but I ask, is greatest strength individual power, or power to work together? Individual strength, Jiwan said immediately. A weak pack leader cannot protect their pack. True, Doyun agreed. But consider this. That herd is massive. More food than any one pack can use before it spoils. Fighting over it seems wasteful. Instead, what if 3 packs compete differently? How? Despite her suspicion, Jiwan was curious. Doyun pointed at the distant herd. 3 packs. Each chooses their best hunter. These 3 hunters work together to bring down the biggest sand beast in herd. The hunter who contributes most to kill earns first rights to hunting ground. But all 3 packs share the meat. Everyone eats, everyone wins. The gathered Vrakan murmured among themselves. This was unusual, but it was not completely crazy. And how do we judge who contributes most? Jiwan asked. All hunters watch. They vote together after hunt. Majority decides. Jiwan considered this. Taemin could see her thinking through the implications. If she refused, she looked afraid of fair competition. If she accepted, she validated cooperation between packs. Either choice challenged her authority. But then Hana stepped forward from Taemin's pack. The old female was respected by everyone for her age and wisdom. Pack leader Jiwon, Hana said formally, I support this human's proposal. The drought has taught us hard lessons. Perhaps it is time we learned new ones. Our ancestors would want us to survive, not die proud, but empty. Soman from Minho's pack surprisingly nodded agreement. The human has strange ideas, but some work. I have seen this myself. Perhaps we should try. Jiwon looked at her own pack. She could see hunger in their eyes. They wanted to say yes. They wanted the food. They wanted to avoid a war that would cost lives even if they won. Fine, Jiwon said finally. But I add conditions. Each pack also sends young hunter, experienced hunter and young hunter together. This tests not just individual strength but ability to teach and work together. These are also important for pack leader. Doyun's face made its happy expression. Excellent addition. I agree. Taemin felt relief wash over him. No ritual combat, no certain death. But now came the hard part. Choosing hunters. For Taemin's pack, the choice was clear. Nari was their best hunter, and Junho was their best young hunter. Both accepted the honor with pride. Minho chose Somin as his best hunter. For the young hunter, he chose Jaemin, the same hunter who had befriended Junho. Jaemin looked terrified and honored in equal measure. Jiwon chose herself as the best hunter, which surprised no one. For the young hunter, she chose her nephew Min Seok, a talented tracker who moved like shadow across sand. One more thing, Doyun said. I want to help coordinate hunt. I stay at distance with my viewing device. I can see positions of all hunters and the beast. I tell you information through radio device. This way you work as perfect team. You want to command the hunt? Jiwon asked incredulously. Not command, support. You are hunters. You know prey. You know land. I just provide extra information, like having eyes in sky. The three pack leaders discussed this quietly among themselves. Eventually they agreed. The humans' technology might give them an advantage against the dangerous alpha sand beast. Preparations took the rest of the day. The 6 chosen hunters studied the herd from a distance, identifying the largest and most dangerous beast. It was enormous, its armored hide scarred from many battles. Hunting it would be deadly. Doyun worked with each hunter individually, asking questions about their skills and weapons. Nari was fastest and had the best aim with throwing spears. Soman was strongest and could handle the heaviest weapons. Jiwon was most experienced and knew sand beast behavior perfectly. The 3 young hunters were eager and brave, but less skilled. That night, around separate campfires, the 3 packs were quiet. Tomorrow would determine everything. Doyun moved between the camps, talking to each pack. The human seemed worried, constantly checking its equipment and muttering to itself. Are you afraid? Taemin asked when Doyun visited his fire. Yes, the human admitted. If this fails, I will have caused more problems than I solved. Then why suggest it? Doyun looked at the stars above. Because fighting is easy, cooperation is hard, but hard things are often most worth doing. On Earth we have saying, we do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Strange philosophy, Taemin said. Effective philosophy, Doyun replied. It put humans on moon. It brought us to stars. It turned us from warring tribes into united species. Morning came with pink and orange sky. The 6 hunters prepared their weapons while Doyun set up position on a high dune with clear view of the hunting ground. The human had several devices set up, including small flying cameras that would track the action. Remember, Doyun said through the radio devices now attached to each hunter. This is not competition against each other. This is cooperation against the beast. Work together, protect each other, trust each other. The 6 hunters moved out, separating to surround the massive alpha sand beast. The creature was easily 3 times the size of a normal sand beast with tusks as long as a Vraken was tall. Position set, came Jiwon's voice through the radio. I see you all, Doyun confirmed. Beast is resting, but alert. Approach from downwind. Jiwon, you and Minseok take north position. Soman and Jaemin, approach from west. Nari and Junho, circle around to south. The hunters moved into position. The three packs watching from a distance were silent, barely breathing. Beast is stirring, Doyun warned. It smells something, stay low. The alpha sand beast raised its massive head, sniffing the air. Its small eyes scanned the dunes. Wait for my signal, Doyun said. Need perfect timing. If anyone attacks too early, others will be exposed. Minutes passed like hours. Sweat dripped down hunters' faces despite the cool morning air. Now, Doyun called. Nari, first strike. Nari's spear flew through the air, striking the beast's thick hide. The impact barely penetrated the armor, but it got the creature's attention. The beast roared and turned toward Nari. Soman, hit the front left leg, make it turn. Soman's heavy hammer struck like thunder, and the beast stumbled, turning to face this new threat. Jiwon, the neck. The armor is weak there. Jiwon's spear drove deep into the exposed flesh. The beast screamed in pain and rage, spinning wildly. Young hunters, distract it. Get its attention away from Jiwon. Junho, Jaemin, and Minseok ran in from different directions, shouting and throwing stones. The confused beast did not know which way to charge. Nari, second strike. Same spot Jiwon hit. Another spear found the wound. The beast was bleeding now, slowing down. Watch out! Doyun's voice was urgent. It's going to charge. Junho, get clear. But Junho was too close. The beast swung its massive tail, and the young hunter could not dodge in time. Then Minseok was there, tackling Junho out of the way. Both young hunters rolled across the sand, barely avoiding being crushed. Good teamwork, Doyun called. Jaemin, help them up. Experienced hunters, coordinate. I will count down. 3 spears, 3 directions, 1 moment. Ready? The 3 experienced hunters positioned themselves. 3, 2, 1, throw. 3 spears flew through the air as one, all striking the weakened neck area. The beast's roar became a gurgle. It stumbled, tried to charge, and then fell, with an earth-shaking crash. Silence. Then cheering erupted from all 3 packs. The 6 hunters stood together, breathing hard, covered in sand and blood. Junho and Minseok helped each other stand. Jaemin was laughing with relief. The 3 experienced hunters looked at each other with new respect. Doyun limped down from the observation point, supported by its crutch. All 3 packs gathered around the fallen beast, their eyes wide at the size of it. That was? Minho started, then stopped, lost for words. Impossible, Jiwon finished. That beast has killed entire hunting parties. No pack has brought one down in 2 generations. You did it together, Doyun said simply. 6 hunters, 3 packs, 1 goal. This is power of cooperation. The vote was unanimous. All 3 experienced hunters had contributed equally. All 3 young hunters had shown bravery and teamwork. There was no single winner because everyone had won together. Jiwon approached Doyun directly. Her expression was still stern, but something had changed in her eyes. You have shown me something today, human. Something I did not expect. Perhaps. She paused, choosing words carefully. Perhaps there are other ways to be strong. That night, all 3 packs feasted together on the massive kill. There was so much meat that they would all eat for weeks. Stories were shared. Laughter echoed across the dunes. Junho, Jaemin, and Minseok sat together, already fast friends. Taemin watched it all with wonder. Days ago, his pack was dying, alone and hopeless. Now they sat among former enemies, sharing food and friendship. Doyun sat beside him, looking satisfied despite obvious exhaustion from the injured leg. How did you know this would work? Taemin asked. I did not know, Doyun admitted. I hoped. Hope is a powerful thing. Then the human's communication device beeped urgently. Doyun checked it, and its expression changed. The news of Doyun's rescue spread through all 3 packs like wildfire. Some hunters were relieved. The strange human had served its purpose and would leave. Things could return to normal. But others, especially the younger hunters, felt something else. Sadness. Loss. Junho found Doyun sitting alone near the crashed ship, staring at the stars. "You are leaving," the young hunter said quietly. "Yes, my people are coming for me. I must go home. Will you forget us?" Doyen looked at Junho with surprise. "Forget? Never. You and your people taught me much about courage and honor. I will tell stories of the Vraken for rest of my life. But what happens to us when you leave?" Yunho's voice was uncertain. "Will the packs go back to fighting?" This was the question everyone was thinking but afraid to ask. Doyen had brought them together, but Doyen was leaving. Would everything fall apart? The human stood up with difficulty, leaning on its crutch. "Come, we need to talk with pack leaders." That night, Taemin, Minho, and Jiwon gathered together at Doyen's request. The three leaders sat around a fire, their relationship still awkward but no longer hostile. "Tomorrow I leave," Doyen began. "But before I go, we must discuss what happens next." "We go back to our territories," Jiwon said. "We have food now." "The crisis is over, is it?" Doyen challenged gently. "Drought still continues. Animals still migrate. What happens when food runs out again? Will you fight each other? Will you watch your packs starve rather than ask for help?" The three pack leaders were silent. "I want to propose something," Doyen continued. "What if alliance continues? Not one big pack. You keep your identities, your territories, your independence. But you meet regularly, share information about herds and water, help each other in times of need. Trade resources." "Impossible," Jiwon said immediately. "Packs do not work this way." "They do now." Doyen pointed at Junho, Jaemin, and Minseok, who were sitting together nearby. Those three young hunters. They are friends across pack lines. They trust each other. They would help each other. Is this not already a small alliance? Taemin watched the young hunters. Doyen was right. Something had changed in the younger generation. They had tasted cooperation and found it good. "Old ways kept us alive for generations," Minho said carefully. "But human makes a point. Old ways also kept us divided and weak. Together we brought down beasts that no single pack could touch. Together we survived drought that should have killed us all." "You speak treason against our ancestors," Jiwon said, but her voice lacked conviction. "No." Hana spoke up from nearby. The old female had been listening quietly. "I speak for ancestors. They would want us to survive. They would want packs to grow strong. If working together makes this possible, they would approve." Hana approached the fire carrying several memory stones. The traditional way Vraken recorded important events. "I have been recording everything since human arrived. Every lesson, every story, every new idea. These stones will preserve human wisdom for future generations." She placed the stones carefully on the ground. "But stones are not enough. We need to live these lessons. Practice them. Prove they work." Doyen pulled out its small device again. "I want to give you gifts before I go. 3 things that might help." The first gift was water purification tablets, hundreds of them, enough to keep all 3 packs supplied for months. The second gift was solar-powered communication devices. 1 for each pack leader. They could talk to each other across great distances. But most important gift, Doyen said, pulling up the star chart again, is knowledge. The device showed the entire continent. Migration patterns of sand beasts marked in glowing lines. Water sources marked with blue dots. Safe territories marked in green. My ship scanned everything before crash. This map shows where herds will be for next year. Where water will last longest. Where new hunting grounds will open. With this information you can plan. You can prepare. You can avoid fighting over resources because you know where to find more. The 3 pack leaders stared at the map like it was sacred. "Why give us this?" Jiwon asked. "What do you want in return?" "Nothing," Doyen said simply. "On Earth we have idea called paying it forward. Someone helps you, you help someone else. Kindness spreads. I want to pay forward all kindness others showed me in my life." Jiwon was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something that shocked everyone. She bowed her head to Doyen in a gesture of deep respect. "You are small and weak, human. You have no claws, no fangs, no armor. But you have wisdom that giants lack. I was wrong about you. I was wrong about cooperation." She looked at Taemin and Minho. "I agree to alliance. We meet each season to share information and plan together. We help each other in crisis. We stay independent but work as greater whole." Minho nodded agreement. "My pack supports this." "As does mine," Taemin said. Doyen's happy face was the biggest they had ever seen. "This is good. This is very good." But there was still concern in the humans' eyes. There will be challenges. Other packs may not understand. They may see you as weak or strange. Conservative voices will argue for old ways. Let them argue, Jiwan said with surprising firmness. We have proof cooperation works. We have full bellies and living hunters. That is better argument than any words. The next morning a ship appeared in the sky. It was much bigger than Doyen's crashed vessel. Sleek and powerful. It landed in the desert, sending up clouds of sand. All 3 packs gathered to watch. The ship's door opened and another human emerged. This one was female with dark hair and an expression of concern that changed to relief when she saw Doyen. Doyen, the female human called out. We have been searching everywhere. Are you hurt? My leg is broken, Captain Yunji, Doyen replied. But I am alive, and I have made friends. Captain Yunji looked at the gathered Vrakan with surprise. Friends? These are the indigenous species. We were told they were hostile and territorial. They were, Doyen said with a smile, but things change. Captain Yunji walked among the Vrakan carefully, studying them with scientific interest. She saw the communication devices Doyen had given them. She saw the 3 packs sitting together peacefully. She saw the memory stones Hana carried. What happened here? She asked Doyen. First contact, Doyen replied. Real first contact. Not just meeting. Understanding. Connection. As the humans prepared to leave, the Vrakan gathered close. Many wanted to say goodbye. Yunyo presented Doyun with a special gift. A hunting tooth from the great sand beast they had killed together, carved with symbols of all 3 packs. So you remember us, Junho said. Always, Doyen promised, hanging the tooth on a cord around its neck. Nari approached next. Human, you taught me that strength has many faces. That asking for help is not weakness. This is wisdom I will carry forever. One by one, hunters came forward with words of gratitude. Even Jiwon, proud and stern, thanked the human for opening her eyes to new possibilities. Finally, Taemin stood before Doyen. The pack leader and the human looked at each other for a long moment. You saved my pack, Taemin said simply, not just from starvation, from becoming extinct. We were dying slowly, isolated and alone. You showed us another way. You saved yourselves, Doyen replied. I just shared ideas. You had courage to try them. That is harder part. What will you tell your people about us? Taemin asked. Truth, that I met a species of honor and courage, that I watched them transform from warring packs into something greater, that I believe Vrakan have bright future ahead, Captain Yunji called from the ship. Doyen, we need to go. Medical team is waiting. Doyen limped toward the ship, then turned back one last time. Remember, the human called out. Pack does not have to mean only blood family. Pack can mean chosen family. Anyone who helps you survive. Anyone who shares your struggles. Anyone who stands beside you. Your pack grew when you let it. Keep growing. The ship door closed. Engines roared. The vessel lifted into the sky and disappeared among the stars. The 3 packs stood together, watching until they could no longer see it. Then slowly they began to disperse. But they did not go far. They set up camps near each other. They shared the evening meal. They told stories of the strange days they had lived through. Junho sat with his friends looking at the stars. Do you think the human was right? Can we really keep this going? We have to try, Jamian said. I do not want to go back to old ways. This is better. Much better, Minsuk agreed. 6 months passed. The 3-pack alliance held strong despite doubts and challenges. Other packs heard about it. Some were curious. Some were scornful. Some were interested. Taemin, Minho, and Jiwon held regular councils using Doyen's communication devices to coordinate hunting and resource sharing. When one pack found good water source, they told the others. When one pack faced danger, the others helped. Slowly, more packs asked to join. First 1, then 2, then 5. The alliance grew. They built permanent meeting grounds where councils could gather. They created inter-pack trading systems. They established rescue teams for emergencies. They even began teaching the young hunters from different packs together, creating bonds that would last lifetimes. Hana started a school using the memory stones and Doyen's lessons. Young Vrakan learned not just traditional hunting skills but also cooperation, negotiation, and what Hana called human thinking. The human's map proved invaluable. The alliance could predict herd movements and water sources, preventing conflicts before they started.